talking about teens, and soon they'll be joining the workforce, which will make a lot of parents happy, I'm sure. Meaning for the first time in history, the Canadian workplace will be made up of 4 generations, all with different communication styles. So here to bridge that generational gap is social scientist and TEDx presenter Mary Donahue. Welcome to the show, Mary.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a fascinating conversation. What made you focus on this?
The statistics that are coming out now say that 70% of us are disengaged from the workforce. That means 7 out of 10 people that I am in a meeting with are sleeping or thinking about leaving, or they're doing something else. And that statistic is held since 2014, and that's really killing our productivity and the fact that we hate work.
Yeah.
So my whole job is to make work suck less, to make you happy at work.
I like that. Make it suck less.
Make it suck less, absolutely. And in your TEDx talk, you talk about generational learning. So what does that? Explain that.
Generational learning is understanding that there are others in the world. They process information differently. They listen differently. They use technology differently.
Yeah.
And they have different stress triggers and different fears. And once you're aware of that, you can communicate, and that's how you make work suck less.
Yeah, a much better work environment. All right, break down all the different generations, because this is what I loved in your TED Talk, that you break it down and explain, and I can immediately see myself in this.
Thank you. Boomers, 1945 to 1960. Gen X, 1960 to 1980. Millennials, 1980 to about 2000. And Gen Z, 2000 and forward.
Okay, so Mary, let's figure out which generation likes which communication style, which is really interesting.
Yeah, with a little quiz, right? You guys ready for the quiz?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so the first question is, which generation processes information quickly and visually? Is it Gen X or Millennials? They're all saying Gen X. No? Millennials? The Millennials are saying Millennials and the Gen X are saying Gen X.
Everyone wants to own it.
Clear it up for us, Mary.
Gen X is the most visual generation. They're the CNN generation.
Okay.
They grew up on television. They had TV dates. They had TV time. They loved Disney TV. They loved TV so much they had TV dinners.
So true. On the little with the little tape.
Yes,
we did. We had
Remember,
those.
they were the first generation to have Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
But so subsequently, they process information through technology visually.
Right.
They love PowerPoint. They love pictures. When you look at them and they're thinking about something, when I look at you, you put your eyes up and to the right or your heads up and to the right, because that's how you're processing information.
Oh, wow.
So what's the best way to communicate with Gen X? With Gen Xers?
For those of you who are going to have teachers that are Gen Xers, use visual words, visual patterning, infographics. They love infographics. Give them a PowerPoint deck. If you're in business, they love PowerPoint because it's pictures and words. So a visual sentence would be, what does that look like? Can you help me understand?
And then we immediately go,
That's, look up to the right. Oh, okay. Practice that. Right? Okay, here's the next question, guys. Which generation thrives in a detailed and structured environment? Is it millennials or boomers?
I heard one lone voice say millennial.
I'll say millennials.
Go with millennials.
Andrea,
it's the correct answer. And why is that? Well, it's because they are the first generation to be latchkey kids. Both parents worked. It was very structured. They had a picture on the fridge that said, hey, mommy's here, daddy's here, your sister's here, then you're going here. They didn't go out.
I know, here's
and
your
run
whole
around.
schedule for the week. Here are your practices. It's so true.
And they were also the generation that had step-parents and liked their step-parents.
Right.
So they wanted time for everybody in their lives.
And so how would we communicate with these, with the millennials then?
Well, they are kinetic, which means they're action-based, because they process information the same way they did in the 5th grade, through the internet. And if you look at internet communication, it's all action-based. And so when you talk to them, you want to make sure you're asking them using action-based words, or you're bringing forward their opinion.
Right.
What do you think about? What is your opinion on?
Right. Included in the decision
In the decision,
making.
yeah.
And they were always having conversations, and they thrived on that because they didn't get an opportunity to have it, because mommy and daddy are working. And you know, when you're working, you're exhausted sometimes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So next question, guys. So which generation expects loyalty from their employers?
Oh, I know this.
Is it boomers or Gen Z?
This is easy.
Loyalty.
Boomers. It's got to be boomers,
It's
Mary.
boomers.
Yeah, it's got to be the boomers.
And again, we go and we look at how they process information, and they processed information in an auditory capacity, meaning through the radio. That was the first technology they were really introduced to, and they eventually adapted to television. But they were also educated. They learned Latin. They loved words.
Yeah.
They have longer emails. They read everything. They love long meetings. So when you're talking to them, it's, I hear what you're saying, auditory words.
Right.
Can you talk me through that?
Yeah.
And look at the language they begin to use.
It's very much, it's just like my mom says, phone me. I'm
Yes.
like, can I just text you, Mom?
She's like, text, what is that?
No.
Yeah, text. I don't even know how to use that
That's
on my
kind of
phone.
millennial, Steve. I'm just telling you, Steve.
That's funny. Okay, guys, we're going to take a very quick break, but Mary's going to be sticking around with us to teach us how to prep the youngest generation for success in the workplace. You know who you are. Coming up next.
So important.
Right here, with the 4 generations.
Here's what's coming up on The Goods.
Each generation has a different preference for using technology.
Yeah. I want to ask a Gen Z to fax me something.
They'd be like, what's
They
that?
wouldn't know.
Facts.
Fax, it's hip and cool.
Oh my, is it hip and cool?
No, it's not.